Good evening. Welcome to This Tree and Me. I'm Cory J. Riggs. I appreciate you all being here. Let's talk a little bit about grounding. So, my first experience with grounding after, months of thinking about it and listening to it and things like that on podcasts and what have you. April 17th, 2025. Woke up that morning, turned off my alarm, slept in a little bit, just wasn't feeling quite right. It kind of started the night before. I'm just a couple months really deep into my journey here, and so I end up going up and going to have some black tea at one of my favorite spots here in Tulsa. And as I'm sitting there and I'm watching a podcast with a jelly roll on it, and I get going through it a little bit, and I just keep finding myself asking, what more is there? What more can I do? Why am I feeling this way? And so I decide I'm just going to go work on some other things, go do some writing, things like that. And as I'm driving in my car, it hits me. Let's go ground. Let's go see what this is all about. So I giggle a little bit because the journey that it took me to get to the final destination of my main grounding, I drove around Oklahoma. I went to this place, that place, right? Nothing was quite right, or this was missing this, or I had every excuse out there. So the third time that I drove by one of our most famous parks here in Tulsa on 21st and Peoria, place where they take wedding pictures, prom pictures, all that stuff. So that also was like, okay, I don't want to be, in the mix of all that kind of thing. And so then I drove around and I found perfect little spot. Perfect little spot. And so I end up going there. Parking lot, maybe 8 to 10 spots total. It's on its own little island, so it's it's triangulated with streets around it. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh, this is perfect. This is off the beaten path. The main park and all the beauty and everything. Huge, massive park. I'm well away from all that. Long story short, no, it wasn't. That day wasn't so bad. There were different days where I was in the middle of wedding pictures and, like I said, prom pictures, just every little thing like that. So it ends up that is a very common place for people to go park and start there. Little creek kind of right there. Beautiful flower beds and stuff. So lesson learned, I didn't give up on the spot. That is still my favorite spot to this day. Now that said, skipping forward to today, it's been under construction for quite some time. So throughout this journey, I've had to find different ways to ground and a different place to ground. And the most important part to me back then was that tree that I found. So when I found this spot, I get there, I'm not prepared for this, right? I am wearing some coach's kind of gear, right? Adidas shorts, shirt, things like that. I didn't have a drink. I had no plan. I park, I get my chair out of the trunk of my car, and I go find a nice little spot. Again, so now I try to hide a little bit under, it's kind of warm. So get under a tree where there's some shade and get on my chair. Found a couple of YouTube videos that I could listen to, some affirmations specifically on grounding, things like that. And took off my shoes, my socks, and there I sat and I started. I also found a walking meditation for grounding, and my feet were not ready for that. Let's say that, right? It was interesting. So a couple things I learned on that was there's always struggles, right? There's going to be good times and bad times and things like that. And if you work your way through the tough times, you'll find the good times. And that's kind of how the walk went with the feet. I'd be going through some harder parts, and then all of a sudden, grass would be a little bit more luscious and nice and soft, and I could go through that, and it just kept peak and valleying like that. So let's just go back to a little bit of where I started. So I sat down, and I'm trying to meditate. And again, so understand, this is April. We're just 3 good months into really, really trying to meditate and do things like that. So I wasn't that sufficient in things like that with the meditation, okay? And then, so I'm already not very comfortable with meditating, let alone in public. So I had my sunglasses on, mirrored sunglasses. You really can't see my eyes, but yet there's still people walking around, just coming to go there and take pictures, or some are just starting there and just walking their journey throughout the park. And so there I sit and looking at the tree, and I start realizing a few things with that in mind. At the time, I was heavily fixated on gender healing. So what I mean by that is generational healing, not gender. Generational healing. Gen X, millennial, boomers. Let's start up there, right? Boomer, Gen X, millennial, Z. Is it A now? I'm not 100% sure on that. That's my fault for not having the research, but I didn't go that low. My main focus at the time and my thought process was the boomers handed us their ways of doing things and tried to do things better than their parents. We did the millennials, right? And millennials just carried it on to our grandchildren and beyond. So I was really stuck in this idea and mindset that my journey, my podcast, was going to be about the generational trauma handed down, how every generation tried to recorrect from their parents and make it a little better, just as we did to the millennials, or whatever age your child is. But for me, right, I'm a Gen Xer, and so my children are millennials, all three of them. So I'm sitting here thinking, what did I hand to them? How did I get it handed to me? And so that was really where I was going at. How can we heal by generation? So that way, and I still believe strongly in this, so that our children, they weren't born with, at least mine, were not born with phones in their hand. They came to that middle school age. Now my youngest, that's a little bit different. Still not born with a phone in the hand, but a little bit closer. Okay, so the human interaction part was what's the big part to me. And saying that, like my children, for instance, who range from 22 to 30, in there, soon to be 30, they're the last ones that were born with human interaction. They didn't have phones when they were going to school. They didn't have all that technology, It was just really kind of starting to come around to the younger kids getting phones and things like that. Now, we already had the TVs in the car and, things like that, games, things like that. But really not the phone, not the social media for sure, okay? So how can we ensure that our children, my children, specifically that age, right, pass along that human interaction to the kids who were going to be born, their children and so forth, that were instantly into technology? That was really where my mindset was. Like, that was my main focus for all of this. So when I'm looking at that tree, I'm really stuck in the genders that I had, I keep saying that, I apologize, generations of the elders of the lower tree branches and so forth, and the newer tree, the newer generations of the top leaves and the branches experimenting and growing and so forth. So that was a lot of my talk when I listened back to my audios and stuff from that day. And the other part was, so there's a really, where I was sitting at the time, there's a real beautiful flower bed right there. Nice, good size, right? There's all around, but right in front of me there was one. And to stick with this generation concept, I'm sitting here looking at the rocks that surrounded it. The rocks just know their job. They're there to protect the flowers, right? They don't go anywhere. They sit. People really don't admire them. They're just strictly doing their job as the elders and the protectors, right? I was still in this generational thing of protecting those flowers. So that was kind of the mindset and the thought and listening back to everything in a very big 30,000 foot view. There's a lot more detail to it, and we'll kind of get into it. I just want to kind of give you the scope of my mind and where I was at. So the flower bed, let's stick there for a second. So then now to this day, I look back and I'm thinking, the flowers, they aren't here 24/7, 365, right? They have a lifespan. They don't live during the colder parts of the time. They don't even live during the hot summer, some of these plants, right? So they have to come and go, and they have to rebirth, and they have to learn how to grow again and all of this. And the rocks, they get to experience life all year round. They don't ever get out of that phase. So there's different viewpoints from both of those aspects that you can take into your own life. And then to tie that in with the tree and going back to the lower branches, the strong, the sturdy, they're the oldest, they've been there the longest, they're weathered. Some are drooping, right? I even went to that with the elders, like they're getting older, they're starting to droop and sag. And I literally said, I do not want to be an elder that droops and sags. Going on my fitness kind of thought process. There was a lot of things in there that I said that, listening back, very good insight on some things, but there were some fun things that made me just giggle, like, wow, that is amazing that was what I was seeing at the time and feeling and just the thought process, right? So as I walk, and like I said, I'm struggling to walk. As I began, it was a very small, short little circle kind of thing. Again, no shoes, walking out in the public, judging myself, right? Thinking others are judging me, but we all really know that's just myself judging myself. And so I get to the tree, and as I'm walking and looking up at it, and it is from close up as well, but especially from far away, I mean, it's a big, beautiful, massive tree. I'm pretty sure it's an oak. But once you get up close, and this is more of where I've come to now, when you look underneath that tree, you see all the scars, all the struggles, all the pains, right? So as of today, and we'll talk about more other things that I've had to come across along the way and how I got to this place, that tree is one age, right? The generations, it's there within one body, just like we are. So I start looking at it and thinking of it now and I look at this with every tree and other objects that I ground and look at. That's life. And you hope that by the end of your life, just as this tree, and I don't know how old it is, the park has been there since the early 1900s, come to find out. And I don't know about this tree specifically. It's all by itself on this one little thing. There's other little smaller trees and things like that, but this one big massive tree is all by itself right there. But you get underneath it and you get looking at it and you just start understanding that, okay, look, it had some pain. It had some real hard life moments. But look what it continued to just be. And that, in the simplistic way, is the way I see the tree, right? It's just being. Weather, people. There's people probably coming and plucking leaves and branches, and there's homeless that wander around down that area because it's close to the river. So there's probably people that use the restroom by it, or animals and things like that. Again, that's just part of its life. That's not good or bad. That's just part of its life. And it just sits there stern and steady, no matter what life throws at it. Takes it, lives through it, branches break, leaves fall off, what have you, and it just continues on the next day and just does it again and does it again and just keeps reaching for the light and keeps reaching for the light and keeps growing. And that's where I find myself. Now, on the hard judgment of myself, my tree's a little bit more barren than that right now. It probably is not, if I really want to sit down, the goods and the bads of life. Again, we've talked about that on the first episode. This is just a second. We're going to talk a lot more about a lot more things along the way. I've done a lot of good. But as my mind and as a human, right, it replays all the negatives. So I look at that tree and I see underneath it, and it gives me hope. Just like this tree, I'm going to wake up another day and I'm going to try harder. And I'm going to make mistakes. And life's going to throw curveballs at me. And there's going to be storms along the way, right? And there's going to be people plucking at me. And there's going to be times that I pluck at people. I'm going to make more mistakes. Just keep growing. Just keep being. Trying to be better every day. That tree knows nothing else. It is the greatest lesson that I have learned from probably anything or anyone in my life. This tree has absolutely reformed me in the thought process of how I view my life and how I need to just keep marching forward. It simply is. So, this tree to me found me. I was driving around, like I said, I didn't want to go here, made excuses for every place, and finally I'm just like, I just have to stop and do this. And I found it. That tree found me. That tree also knew, hey bud, you need to come sit here because there's going to be people walking around and there's going to be a lot of interaction where you're going to have to be comfortable with people walking around you while you're meditating. Right? And still to this day, there's some times that I have to like peek at it. I try not to. I'm much, much, much better at it. But there's still times. Absolutely. So over the course of this time at this little tree, and there's other little areas, beautiful. There is some beautiful landscapes around there, and I really wish I still had some videos and pictures. Somehow, some way, all my original ones of my first walks of grounding and my first trips around the shrubbery and the flowers and stuff, I can't find them. I'm really, really hoping I can. If not, hey, so be it. I'll make some more. And eventually that construction is going to get done to where I can go back in front of the tree. And the funny part about the construction is it's all over the park, but that spot is where they set up the GC and the home ground. So the trailer's there, it's all fenced off. I can't even walk into it. If I want to go talk to the tree or see it up close, I have to park in my car and sit on a very busy street, and that's obviously not going to happen. So what I've found was I found another spot just across the street to where I can see the tree. I can still walk up to it or close to it to where I can see it, and I can still have my moments with it. And however you want to take that, it means the world to me to be able to still talk to that tree. The hardest part that I had was, to me, grounding was that tree. And if I couldn't ground there, what am I going to do? Right? That's how I ground. That tree is everything. I can't do this without that tree. So, along the way, I found this other spot that I can go talk to. So that was the first step of becoming okay with not being able to sit where I want to sit and walk where I want to walk. So that was the first step. And then accepting that. Then finding other places along that walk and creating new walks to where there's other viewpoints now. There's more trees, obviously. There's squirrels and birds and everything else, and people still driving around. Excuse me, and people walking their dogs, things of that nature. Because now I'm on a little bit larger part of the park. Still not up by the playground in the main area. That's also by a very beautiful museum that's close to there. So over time, I became okay with being there. And I found new trees and new ways to ground and talk to myself and talk to nature and just be with nature. And I found other trees and like I said, that mean something to me as well, and just the uniqueness of them and things like that. The next step was, and the date on this one, I'm not 100% sure. I've been trying to look through my journals on when it was. I will find it. I go to the gathering place. I started going to the gathering place on Sundays. I still do for the most part. Now there's some Sundays, like today I was out of town, so I wasn't able to do that. There's times I go on trips, things like that. But if I'm here, I typically go to the gathering place on Sunday morning. I watch one of my favorite shows, CBS Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley. Love the show, so if you don't watch it, try it out. I dig it. So I watch that, do a little bit of work at the house on myself, then I go to the gathering place. And over time at the gathering place, and I'm sorry, the gathering place is a renovated park that they man-made. They bought out people's houses. There's some big houses. There's a big mansion that was right there along the river. They bought it out. They bought out apartment complexes. I mean, it's a massive thing. Look up the Gathering Place, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a very, very cool place. So I start walking there. I'm going around. It's right next to the river. Then they got their own little river and their own little pond. And you can kayak, you can pedal boat, things like that. So I'm watching this and I'm walking around. And so first couple times I go, I do all that. I'm not grounding there. After I leave there, I go to the tree and I ground, and then I come home. Eventually I got enough courage that I grounded there. I know the space well enough now. I've been there enough that I'm comfortable. I know where I can go ground, and I'm still right in the middle of everything, and that's okay. And that was another thing with getting okay with. Because the other thing, understand, I've been here 15 years. I've coached here 15 years. I no longer coach soccer, competitive youth soccer. So people recognize me that are in the soccer world. And that's in my head. Okay? So again, it took me a time and a bit of time to get used to grounding there in front of people and places. Now, I've got a few different places that I'll go ground there. And by that, I mean nice, beautiful grass. I go, I take a towel, I lay down, take off my shoes and socks, I lay on the earth, and I meditate. I look up at the sky, look up through the trees. It's a really, really neat thing for me. The other thing, and I haven't got to this point yet. There's 3 that I found. Stone circle of, I believe, 20 in 2 of them, and one of them has like theater seating. Stone, big, massive chairs for prayer circles. And yes, I want to do that someday. I want to start having times of prayer circle there and inviting people. So I will get to that point. I've sat in them a couple times. I've meditated in them a couple times. It's just a really cool little thing, and they're kind of in a little cupboard, stuck away, right? But it's still right in the middle of the park. So after I'm going there a few weeks, I just get brave one day. And this is the best thing about all of this, and I hope that there's a theme that you can hear to this, is the more I do this, the more courageous, and it is courage to me. I went kayaking in the little river. I've never kayaked in my life. Ever. I was on boats and stuff in lakes when I was younger. I wasn't the guy driving them for the most part, or I was with friends, things like that. I haven't been in a lake or in water for a very long time. But I'm like, something inside me just said, go kayak. Well, there I went. What did that lead to? A few times of kayaking in there was my first river float. We'll get to that here in a bit, because I've went on 2 now. And that first one, I learned a lot. It's not a float. There's times a float, but it is not just a float. It's a little misleading, that word. At least I allowed it to be. I just didn't ask enough questions, and honestly, I'm glad I didn't. So, go back to the gathering place. I'm there, I kayak, I take my walk, so now I've got a whole rhythm to it. I've got about a 3.5 mile. I wear a backpack with drinks and a little bit weighted, so that way I kind of work up my hiking kind of thing. I went once to Turkey Mountain. Turkey Mountain's another really cool place that people go hike here. I want to get more into that. So I'm training out there, and I've got my path, and I know exactly how far it takes me. There's a video that if you go to TikTok and see my TikToks, Cory J. Riggs is the handle on my TikTok. There's one that's showing the river. If you know me, that's a if you know moment. I do not like heights, y'all. It's taken me months to fully walk across that bridge, across the entire Arkansas River, and all the way back. There's days that I get close to the edge and I get a little wobbly. Still to this day. Now, it just keeps getting better. I keep getting a little bit more courageous. I keep getting a little bit more adventurous, right? I can stop. I can look around. I still have not gotten and looked over the edge. Not sure when that'll happen. It will happen. So I take my walk, go on a nice brisk long walk, go across that bridge, come all the way back. I go ahead to the kayaks, go out there for about 30 minutes, and then I go ground, and then I walk back to my car, park a little ways away. By all said and done, it's about 4 miles plus the kayaking. It's just a good Sunday morning. It relaxes me, it grounds me, it makes me feel good. It brings me to this, right? So that's the gathering place journey. That's where I'm at with it now. The prayer circles are to come, and a little bit more with the river. And right there on that bridge is right where they have it's set up with some wall barricade kind of thing, so the current goes heavily over it. It's a very good, just breathtaking experience to feel the power of that water. You can feel it up there. You can feel that breeze coming on that Arkansas River. The other really cool thing about there is off to the side, and they built this purposely, so there's a group of guys that go there with wakeboards and stuff. They'll park right down there, but they go out, they jump out on their wakeboard, they face that current coming at them, right? As soon as they wash out, it's a very safe little place because it's off the river. Again, they built this purposely just for this. It's just a really cool thing. On Sundays, they allow dogs, so get to see some puppies walking around. I just really have learned to enjoy the gathering place. And my Sundays with the CBS Sunday morning, getting up and doing my thing, the CBS Sunday morning, and then the gathering place, it just puts me in a very good place to get ready to start the week. And now to do this every Sunday. So then now it's gone to, okay, so when I notice I'm not grounding enough, when I don't make time to get to my tree, and I feel it, I know it. So how do I ground? What do I do? I can't go to my tree. I can't go to my place. I found other ways. In my back patio here, I've got a natural little tuning fork tree. I started out just touching it, this and that, whatever, to now where I know that it is rooted, and I can see my tree. It took me a while. I'm not saying that was the first time I did that, but over the time of holding that tree and standing there with it and looking at the other trees that are around, I just know, or I came to the know, that my tree was listening. Now I can just picture, like when I think of a tree and I think of that tree, like I can visually see it right now as I'm speaking to you all. So that has been the progression. Over the last 2 weeks, I want more. Like, I'm just really, really thirsty for grounding. It has done so much to me. And yes, we will get to the kayaking. I've got some videos. I've shared some a little bit on TikTok and some pictures. It's just beautiful. So every morning now, and it's a little cooler now, so I take my dog Kirby, and if you've seen any of the videos, they're on TikTok. I'll eventually bring him up here. He's laying right here by me. He's awesome. A basset hound. He's just turned 6. About a week ago. So love that. So I have a little path that I always take him for a walk where he likes to go to the restroom and just kind of, check things out. Anyway, there's a little ravine there. There's an open area where he can go, and then there's a couple businesses kind of close to it, and then there. Well, one of the businesses keeps both of them actually, but the one has a very long strip along the street. They keep it very well manicured. Grass is nice and thick. Well, I just started, for whatever reason, one morning, I just needed to get outside. Just be in nature. And as I got out there, and normally I always wear socks and shoes when I go outside, I put on my slides and I just grabbed him and said, let's go, dude. I just need to get out. It's early in the morning. The sun's coming up. Trying to get more sunlight in my eyes in the mornings anyway. Well, I ended up just taking off my slides and walking down that path. So now that's another consistent way of grounding for me. Not every morning, but a consistent one for me. And I absolutely love it. I'm grounding with him. I've taken him to my grounding place now. Kirby, sorry. I just keep saying him. I can't explain what grounding has done for me. It's very precious to my journey. And as I said, I started out with the generational healing thought process and the stuck in Gen X, as I mentioned on episode 1, to where now, and this tree in me was going to be the book. I've been thinking about writing a book, passages, what have you. And this tree and me has become the umbrella of all of this. I don't know where I would be if I wouldn't, or if that tree wouldn't have found me. I don't know where I would personally be without grounding. I would still be getting better. I would still be moving forward. But in my spiritual path, in my spiritual journey that I'm on, that is one of my North Stars, is grounding. And the more I do it, the more I understand what it does for me, the more I understand how I believe more people need to do it. It doesn't have to be as spiritual and inspirational or meaningful, I guess is the way I should say it, like it is to me. My calling right now is a spiritual calling. It isn't to go become, the biggest this or the best podcaster or, start an AI company or what have you. I've had so many different thoughts over the years of that. This is where grounding has taken me. I truly understand that my calling right now is to become the most spiritual being I can. What that means and what that looks like, I can't answer that right now. And I'm okay with that. I'm just exploring and experimenting and trying to find. But the one thing that I absolutely know is without grounding, I would not be in the place that I am today. And it's not going to stop. I'm going to continue grounding. So let's talk about the kayaking really quick. I know I'm jumping up a little bit back and forth. And I will get better at this. This is a goal of mine, right? I prepared a little bit. I've done a little bit of research, but the biggest thing is I just want to be able to start telling stories. And the only way I'm going to develop that is do this, watch myself back, get comments and feedback from y'all so I know what you're hearing, how you're hearing it. I know how I hear myself. I have no idea how y'all hear me. So get feedback, things like that, right? Mom gives me feedback. That's always going to be good, right? Sister gives me feedback. She gives me a little bit, but it's always going to be good. I know I'm going to take lumps and bumps, and that's okay. So, as I get better at this, I hope you continue to help me, right? I want to help show my journey and bring it to you all so you can find your tree, whatever that may be. That might be a dog, that might be a cat, that might be a specific plant. You might be what are the cactus things called? I am sorry on this one. Anyhow, that one will come to me eventually, and I'll probably just blurt it out when it comes to me. It can be anything, whatever you need it to be. To me, people need to find that place of nature for healing, for grounding, just connected energy from the earth. The earth supports us all the time. It's not going anywhere. Because of the earth, we can walk, lay down, sit, and be completely supported and give it all of our weight and all of our worries. Okay? All right, so 2 times I go kayaking at the gathering place. So I get brave and adventurous. And part of this is also me retiring from coaching soccer, and some of my boys are having trouble with Cory isn't around soccer anymore. He doesn't want to talk about soccer anymore. They keep trying to get me out. I'm like, that's not what I want to do anymore. Right? I need to separate myself from that. I've ran my journey, and I appreciate it, but it got to a point to where it's not healthy for me anymore. It's given me what I've needed. It's given me plenty. So that said, I was like, all right, how can I get us all together on this? So I'm in this kayaking mode. I think I can go kayaking on the river, and I did, and I've done it twice. And knock on wood, however you want to do it, I haven't bid it yet. It will happen. It just will happen. So I rented I told my buddies, and a couple of them couldn't make it. They had other things going on. It was just a few weeks' notice. Said, I'm going to get a cabin, guys. This is what we're going to do, right? All I want is your presence. I just want to do something with them without soccer. There ended up being 3 of us there. 3 out of the 5 that I wanted 5 total, including myself. Like I said, 2 couldn't make it. We'll do it again. It ended up being a phenomenal weekend. So anyhow, we get there Friday, and cabin's right by the river. It's a nice cute little cabin. It's got everything that we need. The beds were iffy, but we made it work. So Friday night, we all get there, grill out, all that kind of stuff. Wake up Saturday morning. I go out early, get up early, go out, do my meditation, everything that I'm out there on the porch before everybody else gets up. And then my one friend and I, he's the reason I decided to do this, one part of it was him and his family go there to this exact resort, and they go on day float trips. So I got it all set up, got 2 single person kayaks, right? One for him, one for me. And so we get there, and then Saturday morning, wake up, like I said, get through everything, and it's time to get going. All right. So I'm talking to him, trying to get, I do the half float, not the full. I was not ready for my first time to be 6-7 hours. Trust me, the 2.5, 3 that it was plenty. That's why we did the second time as well. So we go out there. First off, I've never gotten a kayak on the water by myself. At the gathering place, you got bars. They sit, you sit down into it. They're holding the kayak for you. This ain't the gig out on the river. And so I clumsily get in, and we start going. Y'all, within the first 20 minutes, I thought I was going over. The very first turn, the very first bend, it was all chill up till there, and then I seen it coming, and I was not prepared. Okay, so I had a bag over my chest that had my phone and stuff, not waterproof. I can swim, so the life jacket was sitting by me, wasn't wearing it. We'll get to that. And all I remember on that first bend was, and I don't know who heard, I could care less. I was just sitting there going, breathe, Cory, breathe, Cory, breathe, Cory. Just constant, and just trying to row and keep upright. Now I'm hitting trees, and I got through it. When I came out the other side, the breath, the release, the understanding of you're not in control, Cory. You have zero control over this river. You are just a part of this kayak, and this river's going to do what it does. That was the entire 2.5 hours. I didn't truly get to enjoy the river itself. It took me almost till the very end to where I actually started looking for the fish and things like that, right? Because the river, it's kind of low. There's a very long stretch that is just absolutely gorgeous. And we'll talk about the second time. I did a lot more of this the second time I went. So as we're going through all this, so then I start talking, and I'm like, all right, man, I need to follow you. I'm watching you. Where he goes, I go. There's this one part where I watch him. He's going here, and his kayak went bump, bump, and went straight. No paddling, no nothing, over rocks. my paddle right here like this, and I was just like, trust it. I'm just talking myself through it. There was multiple moments. There was another one where I got up on some rock bed. Well, I wasn't willing to get out, and he was like, hey dude, you want to get out? We can just walk to the end of this. I was like, nope. Nope. Well, then my kayak, the current starts hitting my tail in, and I'm like, I do not want to go backwards. I'm fighting and scrapping and just doing everything. I have no experience. All the experience I have is on this controlled, no current lake. Current was not understood in my mindset for whatever reason. You don't ever stop, right? The current is constant. Never registered until it did. So got out of that one, banked on another one, this hard 90-degree turn. There was just so much. I can't tell you what my body felt like when I was done. I was absolutely drained. My emotional state, my body, everything about me was just calm, peace, grateful to be done. Also grateful that I did it. So let's talk about the takeaways really quick from the first time. One thing that I started to learn in getting older, I'm going to be double nickels here in just a few weeks. End of October is my birthday. I'm going to be double nickels, 55 this year. I've grown to accept that I'm okay with getting older. I'm enjoying it. I've still got a good 30 years. If I continue to go on the health trip, I got a good 30, maybe more years, but 30 for sure. Barring something crazy. But so part of that is listening to my body. What I eat, what I put in it, what I drink, everything, how I exercise. Listening to my body, knowing my limits. I'm not 25 anymore, right? I learned that really the hard way when I was setting up this room and moving some things around and getting ready for the podcast and everything that I've been trying to work on here. And I tried to move a big old electric recliner out of my bedroom downstairs because I was getting rid of it. I'm not 25 anymore, right? So anyhow, listening to my body, knowing my limits. All right, number one, can you swim? Absolutely. What if you go over? Are you fit enough to fight that current? Get your kayak, which I ain't worried about that part too much, but grab your life jacket, swim over to the side, get safe? Probably not. What if I hit a rock or something, I get injured and I'm in the water? Am I ready for that? Probably not. What about my phone and my keys? Well, my keys weren't with me because they take you on a bus, but the second time, I had my keys. Because we didn't stay the night, we just went on a single day. So, what about all that stuff? What if I do fall out? How do I get back into it? What's that protocol look like? I have no idea. And this is where I go to, I'm grateful that I just thought so much of myself that I could just go to the kayaking at the gathering place 2 or 3 times and hit the river. I am a little bit grateful because there's a motivational thing that I listen to fairly regularly, and there's a part of it that says, and it always takes me right back to that first day of kayaking. It will forever. For the rest of my life, when I hear something of this nature, it will take me back to the moment. It says, a man said, put yourself in a situation where you can't retreat, where it's sink or swim, do or die. What you're going to learn is you're going to develop the best swimming, stroking skills you've ever had, or you're going to swallow half the pool of life. And that resonates with me so much because of that day. I did. I just jumped in, do or die. Here we go. No retreat. It didn't hit me that day. Okay. But there was a lot, I had water, I had this. I was just not prepared. Mentally, safety. I had no idea how to get in and out of a kayak all on my own, let alone in the middle of a river if I would get dumped. I had some paddling skills, but not like if I'm going this way, what do I do? Or this, or if I'm tilting, how does this work? The gathering place, I get in this kayak. I'm not in it. I'm on top. It's a top-seated kayak, not a sit-in. That was different to me. There was so much. You can see the anxiety in me. I'm getting antsy about it right now. I'm probably getting red. Because just thinking back about it, I was so dumb. And that's not in a negative and a bad thing, but just the ignorance of me thinking that I could just go do this is just amazing. The goal that I could just jump in this river and I'm bigger than the river. No, I'm not. So, I had a great time. I had a lot of anxiety going up to it. Not as much as the second one. I had more anxiety going into the second float than I did the first. Couple things. I knew exactly what I was getting into. I did research. I watched videos. I sought out certain skill sets, how to do this, how to, what do they call it? Self-rescue, I think is what they call it, to get back in when you go over. The other thing I didn't think of was if you do go out and you're in a deeper part or in a heavy current, don't put your feet down on the ground, because what if you go in between rocks or something, your legs are stuck, and then that current's just going to break you over. So much. And at the same time, so much to scare everything out of me, right? So much to put in my head like, dude, what are you doing? So, what does Cory do? I buy my own life jacket. I get a backpack that has a little water spout on it so I don't have to worry about anything. And then I got little waterproof packs that, like a fanny belt thing, whatever they're called, right? Put my phone and things like, and my keys and stuff in. Actually, sorry, my phone, I bought a case that I can use while I'm out there, and it's attached to me and it's waterproof. So I had everything to where when I sat down in that kayak, my mindset was, there is nothing outside of me and that kayak. If I go over, I don't care about anything. All I need to do is be safe. So, know your limits. So I was good with all that. I needed the mind of you're going to do this again because it's scary. It is hard. It takes courage. For me, there's so many lessons that I learned from kayaking. I don't know if I'll ever do rivers again. I probably will. I don't know. One thing I do know is I will do it at lake. I'm looking at buying my own kayak so I can go out to the lake, get exercise, things like that. Lake will have its own little challenges, like a nice big public lake. But the river is a whole nother beast. The other part that I started watching, all right, how do you maneuver this? What if this happens? Just so much understanding, learning, finding the V in the water, and they call the eddy where the main current, the eddy is kind of the soft, calm spots outside of the main current. How to get into it, how to get out of it. The biggest lesson, because I have control issues. That one thing I hate when things are not in my control. I fought my whole life to be in control of everything, thinking I was in control. Let's start with that. Not in control very much, but I thought I was in control. I thought I was the one running the show of life and things like this. So that's another good lesson that it's taught me. That river is in full control. Full. There is nothing I can do outside of being outside of that river that will dictate the river's presence and how it's flowing that day. The other part about the river that kind of got me, and I got this through one of the videos, but the next time that we went, it flowed completely different. So there hadn't been any rain for a little while, so it was a little shallower. The first turn that I was so nervous about, y'all, so nervous, wasn't even there. That current was still going there, but it wasn't as bad as it was the first time. It didn't have the same flow. There are new spots that come later that had other moments. And there's one time in particular that the buddy I took, same guy, he went with me, and he got stuck going over. He didn't get enough momentum going through there, and I came up on him, and I was paddling it, and I bumped him a little bit, which you do in kayaks, and I got through that much better than he did. So what's my mind do? Talks a little nonsense. I got through it better than you did this time, all that. Within 5 minutes, the river humbled me. I about flipped. And I told myself, yep, that's exactly, I told myself, that's exactly what I get for being that arrogant. The river humbled me and said, nobody, you want to celebrate and think you've got this down? I'll show you, you don't. So the second time we go, I get it all set up. We go at noon, middle of the day, on a Tuesday. I take off work, and so I am scared out of my mind. Out of my mind. But what does that video say? Sink or swim. Do or die. Can't retreat. Once I'm in that river, and that bus that took us to the drop-off point, once they leave, you're in. You're in the river. You're done. Now, I'm sure you wanted to, you could call. That ain't my mindset. Once I'm in, I'm in. That said, again, so it was much smoother, much lighter to start off with. I got to really embrace new visuals that I got to see. The water, there was cranes everywhere this day. There were gar everywhere. If you don't know what a gar fish is, they're kind of funky looking. But I got to enjoy all this. And there was there was that one majestic, and it's I bet it's a quarter mile, guys, maybe a little longer. And it is just this big cliff on the side, and it is right here. It is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I got to enjoy it. And I got to just relax. And I was talking to myself. And I did so much better, even though I had a couple moments. That wasn't the only one. There was a few. I didn't get sandbarred that day, which I was very happy about, right? I didn't get locked up on some rocks where I was stuck in the middle of the river. I hugged a tree pretty hard once. But again, just because I watched those videos and I really watched to learn, I had the intention of watching so I could learn, that it just naturally, like, I kind of maneuvered the kayak fairly well. And it was really good for me to watch those. Outside of they scared the living hell out of me. But I needed that. So the second time, I got different than I got the first time. I got a lot out of both. Emotionally, spiritually, right? Lessons learned, life. I got both. But the second one, I got to take in what I'm doing more. The other big thing from both of them, no matter which one it is, when I'm in those moments of pure holy hell, right? Guys, there is nothing. I don't know anything else in the world that's going on at all. I have no care if people are looking at me, judging me, what I look like. I probably look like a flailing crazy man sometimes. I don't care. I am so in that moment. I am so present. I have never, ever been that present. Childbirth. I only got to watch one out of the three. I was present until I wasn't, because I don't do good with blood and all that stuff. But guys, I was so present on that river in those moments. And when I came out of those moments, it was just like I just saw the world again. That has been just a blessing to me. But it's another way to ground. And this is all about grounding today. Grounding doesn't have to be one specific place, one specific tree, one specific item. I can ground walking my dog. Being in nature is pretty good, right? Yes, you probably want to be touching nature and be a part of nature, but just being out walking in nature or going golfing, you're out in nature. Enjoy the nature while you're out golfing, right? You're going to be touching the ground and things like that. For me, I want full grounding. That it does something to me, right? Everybody can find what it is for them. Doesn't have, like I said, doesn't have to be a tree. It can be whatever you need it to be. I fully believe that this is something everybody needs to connect with their soul to the earth. There is an energy that is unexplainable. It makes me feel so much better when I'm done. And I don't really necessarily notice it right then. I notice it on the days after and the hours after. It just carries on. But I can promise you that when I recognize parts of my life when I'm like, okay, my driving's getting angrier again, I'm getting some more road rage or things like that, I'm not grounded enough. So as of lately, I still write every day for the most part, audio log, I still do all my meditations, but the writing and all that has went down a little bit because I've dedicated more time to grounding because of what it is giving me and what it's doing for me. Between that and meditation, there's nothing that has helped me anymore in all of this. And I also have to allow it. I could do it without allowing it and just get through it, just like I did life for however long. But that's not what I want out of it. I know there's more to get. So I hope, and my wish for everybody is they find what grounding is to them, how they can connect to nature, just life other than humans, the energy that the universe has, the earth has. That's where everything came from. Regardless of how you believe it came to be, whether it's a God or evolution or whatever. That's not the important part to me. To me, it's just finding what works for you and finding some sort of grounding. They even make things that you can ground in your house, that you can run they have beds where you can run a grounding pole outside your house and up to your bed for this. There's so many alternatives to ground. Just to go lean on a tree. Literally, just go lean on a tree. And be there. Try that for me. Go, if you garden, you already have that and you don't have to think about it. Outside of this, don't just garden the garden. Garden to really feel the earth. Garden to really be a part of that process. Some of you may do that already. I'm not saying you don't. Just look at it a little differently. Try it a little differently. Next time you're out golfing, next time you're out at your kids' games, whatever it is, at the park with them, walking the dog, find something just to simply touch and really be with it for a minute. Just start somewhere. Get some wins, right? I wouldn't suggest to go kayaking and then in a little pond and then think you can go out of the river. But get little wins. Every little win that you get just gets you a little bit more courageous. A little bit more courageous. The other thing that I've learned through grounding through all of this is the leveling up. So I say this. When I started this journey, just meditation alone was so hard for me. And I just stuck with it, and I got better at it, and I practiced at it, and I got better at it, and I found what guided meditations worked for me, what music, whatever it was, where I sat, how I laid. I found my way of doing it, right? I don't do the crisscross and all this. I mean, I do some of this. I have all different ways of doing it, and that's the other thing that I've learned. There's not one way to doing all this. Not even for myself, but definitely not for everybody. I have multiple ways for different feelings. Again, I listen to my body. But the leveling up. So I recognized this about a month ago. All of a sudden, I started getting a little bit droggy every day, just kind of this and that, turning off my alarm, staying in bed just a little bit longer, more often than not, or actually just more often than normal. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, I went back to grounding heavily because I recognized, okay, I haven't been, and this is at a point to where I was like, okay, I need to find other ways than just going to that one park because I work, I have other things, I can't always get to the park. How can I mix this in my life? So then through that, I learned, oh, my bar is raised. My spiritual, emotional bar has raised. So now I'm comfortable with all this and I can do this every day. And that's where I got kind of stuck in the mundane, just like I have in other parts of my life. But now it's in the spiritual, like, okay, I can do this. This is easy. And then life said, just like the river, no, it's not, bud. This is not easy. Just buckle up. I got something for you. And it did. So then I had to set my practice up. Now I'm right in the middle of that. I'm almost to another level up point. Now what also has helped me is fitness, working out, pushing my body through things, right? That has helped me get to a place to where, okay, I'm going to level up again. But grounding, and just think of the word, I'm grounded. Say that, just, I'm grounded. It feels good. Find that space. Ground yourself inside. Calm yourself inside. Grounding and meditation helps calm the energies inside, helps calm that voice, helps me find a place where I can breathe. And when that little voice comes up, all I got to do is go right back to the ground that I'm sitting on, or where my feet are sitting, or the meditation that I'm breathing into, whatever that is. Practice and practice and practice and practice The level up points, guys, is what I'm finding is where most people quit. You may not quit on the first one. You may not quit on the second one. But eventually, right, as the people say, the one percenters, they're the ones who just simply never quit. I've recognized that in myself. I've recognized over my life of times that I've tried to do things like this, and I got to a level up point, and I got to whatever it was for me, and then it just went away. Because I always thought, one, I had it. Oh, I got this mastered. I'm good. I'm this or I'm that. It never stops. There is never a level up that you will reach, in my humble opinion, studies and learnings, that you will ever be done. You will always have another level to go to. You can always push yourself a little bit further. And the biggest grateful the biggest piece of gratitude that I have inside of me is that on that April 17th, that tree called me. It called me. When I was sitting there having my black tea, watching that podcast, just trying to figure out, why am I so mopey? Why are my days like this? Why? That tree heard me somehow, some way. And it said, hey, go drive by all those other places. You'll end up by me. And ever since then, I can't say enough about that tree. It's amazing to me that if you would have asked me months ago, even though I was still on this journey, let's just go 1 year ago. If I would have ever thought that I would be grounding, talking to trees and squirrels and flowers and just becoming one with nature, and in a river kayaking, where I've always said, I'm never going to go to these dirty, nasty rivers and ponds and lakes and people pee and whatever, right? And there I am, walking out on these grass and stuff in the park. I know animals go to the restroom. My feet can wash. My body can wash. That washes my soul. It's unexplainable. And I hope, one, that I can continue to level up in my grounding and pushing my limits of taking the fear out of going and trying new things and getting back to my grounding and sitting with it and taking that energy, all that fear, all that negativity, and pushing it into the earth. The earth can take all of it and it'll regenerate it and make good out of it. Pushing all that negativity out of my body, pushing all that fear out of my body. Finding the next path, finding the next journey, finding the next problem to solve. I hope that I can continue doing that. It will not be by a lack of effort. Recognizing is a different thing. I also hope that you all can find something that is similar to you and that works for you, and that you can find a piece of nature somehow that speaks to you in such a way that you just know you're better because of it. Right? It can be all the hippie talk and all that stuff that you want, and I'm fine with that. I really am. It's taken me quite a minute to be able to tell people about this tree. Like, vividly tell people about this tree. Like, to the point that I will just drive by some days just because I'm close and in the neighborhood, just so I can drive by and see him, and I'll roll down my windows and I'll say, hey buddy, what's up? I love you, miss you, whatever. It makes me feel good. That's all I care about. It makes me feel extremely calm, loved. The tree is patient. It's there every time I need it. It's there no matter what. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter what I'm going through, no matter how good or bad or indifferent my life is going at that time, that tree is there every single day. It never judges me. It never disrespects me. It never avoids me, ghosts me, go through them all. That tree is just simply there to be. If you don't want it, it'll still be there. It's not going to come and say, hey, dude, I'm going to do this work for you. But it will definitely be there to support me. And just knowing that, just having that understanding and that belief in what the earth provides for me, and I believe for us as humans, it's unexplainable. So I will end with that. I do want to say a few things. I appreciate everybody who watches these, and I would really love to hear your comments. Please subscribe. I have a TikTok, Cory J. Riggs. I have an Instagram that I haven't really got too much into with Cory J. Riggs. TikTok's a little bit further along. I try to do a daily. This week was all grounding based on this. So every week what I'm trying to do is I'll release my podcast on Sundays. I don't know the time yet right now. This is a little bit later than I wanted to, but again, I was out of town with family. And then during the week, my content is going to be geared towards my Sunday pod. So that way, one, I get in the mindset and the repetition of it, right? I get the learning. Also, I can go back and be very intentional on what I look back into my writings and my audios about. Just like this one, like I said, listening back to it was stinking hilarious. In some moments, like, holy hell. But to think about also some of the insights that I had is like, how did that come out? Like, wow. Just amazing to me. And then to think about where I'm at now, right? And it's just going to be that much better in another month and another month and another month. And same with this podcast. I hope that we can have some good interaction. I want to help. I want to be a guide if I can and just share my experience the best I can. Just like I look up to people who are a little bit ahead of the curve on me in their journeys. And it could be the financial, it could be the emotional, it could be the spiritual, whatever there is, I'm looking up towards people that are further along than I am. I am no better or no worse than anybody in this aspect. There are just people that have more experience, and I'm going to have more experience than some people because this is my life's purpose right now. This is my goal. There's nothing more important to me than becoming the most spiritual human being and understanding spirituality to the best of my ability that I can. I absolutely feel it to my core. And I hope that I can help you along your way to find what your journey is, what your calling is, what your path is, and at minimum, just make your days a little bit brighter. I love you all. Be blessed. I'll see you next Sunday.